It is tax season, but here is an interesting question. What does the IRS do with your tax return once you file it? Joining me now is Ted Jenkin, the CEO of Oxygen Financial. Ted, let's start with the basics. What happens to your tax return when you click the submit button?
Well, good to see you, Jeff. And after you sign your actual tax return and you submit it, the IRS has to actually accept your tax return, and that's going to take about 48 hours. And what the computer algorithms do at the IRS is they try to match your name and your social security number just to see, is this a legitimate tax return? And then just because they accept the tax return, Jeff, doesn't mean they approve it. That just starts the overall review process of your tax return.
I'm almost afraid to ask you, how does the IRS check the return for mistakes you might have made?
Well, they do have computers at the IRS. I don't know if they're always the best, but the computers will check for things like math mistakes. They'll check for clerical mistakes. They'll check for things now like suspected identity fraud, which is on the rise. But last year, the IRS found that there were some 17 million math errors in 2022 alone for things like tax credits and overall tax calculations. So obviously at home, using some type of tax software will help you. Once the IRS finds these mistakes, they're generally going to send you a notice in the mail with an adjusted tax return, and then you generally have 60 days to dispute or disagree with the changes that they made.
How long will it take to get a refund back from the government?
Well, I know this is the important question for a lot of people at home, but the IRS says that roughly 9 out of 10 tax returns that are filed, you'll get a tax refund within 21 days. If you e-file, it should happen within 14 days. If you paper file, it will be longer. But I recommend for people at home, if you're trying to shave time from the process, just ensure that you have your direct deposit on your 1040 form filled out with the right bank account number and the right routing number. That will make it quicker. And then once you submit that tax return, Jeff, the easiest thing to do is to go to irs.gov/refunds, or you just type in any search engine, where's my refund? You should have your social security number handy and the exact amount of your refund, and that will help you track your overall refund.
What about red flags for IRS audits? What are the ones that really get their attention that we need to be aware of?
I think this is the big one, Jeff, that people think about, although less than 0.5% of all Americans get audited altogether. But if you're self-employed or you have a business or you're a high wage earner, you're at bigger risk. If you take larger charitable deductions or more overall tax deductions, or you take tax credits, these are all things that generally put a red flag. I know a lot of people like to think that home office one is getting audited all the time, but in fact is not highest on the list.
Maybe another red flag where you put that little line that says Powerball winnings. That certainly will get their attention. Ted Jenkin, the CEO of Oxygen Financial. We always appreciate it, Ted. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks.